Good evening, everyone. Um, my name is Samuel Bangbola, and I'm a better Microsoft Lens Sudan ambassador from Unilag, and then a machine learning engineer. So I'll be walking you through the session we have today. It's totally beginner friendly. This is just a more elaborate topic, and then we'll be covering how you can leverage Azure Speech Service and translation service to build some kind of workflow for bridging language barriers, like, for example, Yoruba, Igbo, and Hausa languages in Nigeria. So we'll be getting started now. And this session is actually completely beginner friendly, like I already said. Most of what we'll be doing will be from scratch. So um, I would love everyone as much as you can to follow through with the code and everything. Um, yes, you would flow completely with it. So what's going right now? So I already introduced myself, and then like I said, this is a more elaborate topic of what we want to cover: how to build multilingual speech transcription and translation solutions with Azure AI, or you can say with Azure AI services. So I believe many of us are very familiar with what AI is or what artificial intelligence is, with the buzz around ChatGPT, um, BARD, Llama, and then all these large language models all around. And then, so many of them, I think many of us have tried these AI tools for creating portraits. So Dawn AI, there was one that came out recently that, you could use to create a kind of professional image just using some of your images. So, so many things. I mean, AI is advancing very, very much of late. So it's something that we're very familiar with. And in simple terms, or in a more, let me say, precise terminology, you can say it refers to computer systems designed to perform tasks that typically require human intelligence. So, like such as learning, problem solving, and decision making. I think many of us can bear with me, witness with using, for example, ChatGPT, that it helps you with your decision making, or let me say, it helps you with problem solving, right? So you're trying to like maybe craft out something, you have the ideas, but you don't have it structured. So you can just type in, okay, I need this, I need this, I need this, creates a draft for me, and then ChatGPT does an awesome job for you from start. You know, that is one way that solved a problem that you have. You don't necessarily have to sit down and restructure everything from scratch. Okay, first paragraph, second paragraph, and the likes of that. Or yeah, do for I mean, as regards what we want to walk through today now, speech transcription or speech translation, you won't necessarily need someone that understands the language the person is speaking, or you probably are speaking English, and because you need it in text, as you're talking, you're also writing it down in text. I mean, that's not efficient in any way. Or someone listening and trying to convert it to text, that is also not very efficient in cases where, the conversations are going for long, or, there are some things that human ear maybe might not capture, in the sense that, okay, someone is talking very fast and then you cannot, follow the pace of the person and stuff like that. Except maybe it's even recorded. And even while after it's recorded, for you to, listen and make sure you're not missing out anything, the person, the punctuations and everything, you want to capture everything. That is, I mean, that is how it has been working. But then with the ad, with AI basically, yeah, you can do that in a more efficient way, which is what we'll be covering. And also for translation, you get me. So AI is here to stay. I don't think there's anyone on this call that thinks AI is a threat to humanity. I don't know. I don't think you'll be joining this call if you thought so. But basically, that's what artificial intelligence is all about. And there are so other groups to it. You have machine learning, you have deep learning. All these are under the umbrella of artificial intelligence, right? So these are like the building blocks, or or let me say, under the hood, right? What works or what makes artificial intelligence, uh, machine learning and deep learning, right? So that's when you come into technicalities like maybe code, natural language processing, computer vision, and the rest of them. You get me? So yeah, that's mostly it. And then coming down to what Azure AI services are, which is the main focus of today's session, is I mean, for if you're not familiar with Azure at all, right? So I'll greatly recommend you trying out Azure AI services. And basically, they are cloud-based AI services, right, that help developers and organizations, rapidly create intelligent, cutting edge, market ready, and responsible applications. And generally, anyone can always create these AI services. But what makes it special, what makes it unique is that, it says with out of the box and pre-built customizable APIs and models. So basically, you don't need to build these things from scratch yourself, and they are definitely state of the art machine learning models or AI solutions. You get me? You might be trying to train your own speech model to transcribe English to written text or something, but then your model might not, you might do so well in terms of performance, but compared to these models, right, like the models you have here in the Azure AI service developed by Microsoft, right, these are state of the art um, AI solutions or AI models. They've been tested and they've beat so many evaluation benchmarks. You get me? Compared to building yours, you can build yours also from scratch, right? But then, the computational costs that come with it, compute cloud, let me say, how do I put it now? Servers or virtual machines you have to manage or pay for to build these things can be very expensive. And even after still training them, you have to maintain them. They have to host them somewhere so that when someone needs it or queries it, it's always active to give a response. And that could be very expensive for an individual or even an organization to actually build. So with Azure AI services, you can leverage these pre-built APIs or models for your own unique solution with lesser costs of what you're trying to do and lesser manpower. Of course, me mentioning manpower might kind of sound, you know, I mean, that's usually what people say about AI taking jobs. But then to make use of these services, these AI engineers are the ones that can actually understand, manipulate what they want to use it for. And if in recent times you'd see that Microsoft is pushing so much for people to be AI aware, to be able to leverage AI for whatever solution anyone or whatever organization wants to build. So everyone should be AI savvy, you get, to actually remain relevant in the tech space in general. So these solutions help you to escape that phase of experimenting across different solutions, experimenting with let me say uh, 12 hidden layers and convolutional neural networks and the rest of them, passing all that phase and having a state of the art model to use already. So this is basically what Azure AI services are. You have the vision service, so you can have you can do object detection. Okay, let me say, oh yeah, object detection, image classification, and the general computer vision use cases, facial recognition, facial detection, so many other things like that. For decision making, you have so many things like the anomaly detector. For speech service, you have, which is what we're covering on, speech transcription, translation, language service for sentimental analysis and the likes. Um, OpenAI service, yeah, which is basically Azure bringing in OpenAI services onto their platform. So GPT-4, GPT 3.5, OpenAI Whisper, OpenAI Codex, and the likes of them. So these are what Azure AI services are. And now we'll be going fully into what we want to discuss for today, which is leveraging um, Azure's speech service and translation service for a transcription and translation solution. So if you have any questions up till now, I would like to hear them, or if you have anything, any contributions you want to make, you can kindly unmute and you know drop that, and then yeah. So just after this, I mean, we'll be going into some code of how you can get started with Azure AI services. So I'm open to questions or any remarks that we've had so far. Do you have any difficulty understanding what Azure AI services are, or what AI is, or what you know the speech service or translation service are in Azure? I would assume. Okay. Oh, okay. Um, I guess there's no question so far. I mean, the other questions in the chat are as regards um, technical issues. So I'll be moving on now. Um, so we'll be leveraging Microsoft Azure, like I already said, for this solution that we're trying to build. So first thing before I move on, um, for you to make use of Azure, you have to have a subscription, and then for because of this Microsoft, or let me say Azure, basically has a plan for students. So if you're a student currently on this call, you have access to try out Azure and whatever solutions you want to try out with $100 credit that you have for a year. So you can always renew every year as long as you are a student, right? You don't need to input your credit card. You don't have to do anything. As long as you have your student email to verify that you're a student, you are good to go. I'll drop the link to this in the chat right now. So if you're a student, you can try out this and activate your Azure credits if you haven't already. Okay, so moving on. Moving on, the first thing you want to do is navigate your way to the Azure portal. So it's portal.azure.com. I think that's pretty straightforward there. And then when you're working with Azure, the first thing you want to do is create a resource group. So now, you don't necessarily always have to create a resource group separately. You can do that while creating whatever service you want to create. You get. So the first thing we want to do now is the speech service, right? So you can see from the drop down here, you have speech service. Otherwise, you can click create a resource, and then once you click create a resource, you can search speech service. So yeah, you can set speech service and create. So the thing about this is that for like I already mentioned, Azure AI services, you can actually create a multi-account where you can use just one API key to reference both the speech service, the language service, the translator service, and everything. right? But it depends on you, which is what I'm still going to come back to, right? So from here, you would have seen that you have different components of building a speech transcription service. One of them is, I mean, this I've defined this myself, and the first thing is the method of use, right? So for Azure's AI, for the speech service, basically, right? If you are doing transcription, there are two things you can do with the speech service. You can do text transcription, and then you can also do document transcription. So now I put this under method of use. So what we'll be focusing on today is text transcription, right? And then translation. So you also want to like go through the pricing, how what you can have access to for free, or what you can have access to at a certain cost, and then your workflow. And the workflow basically is basically depends on the services that are available. So while working with a speech service and a translator service, I have observed that you can for some languages, right, you can do a direct translation. Let's actually check through. Let's go through the pricing first, right? We already established that you could do whether text or document transcription. So let's move on to pricing, and then we'll come back to workflow before we create our resource group. So for the pricing here, we can just do, do a quick search, Azure pricing, Azure services pricing, and then it will take you to where you can actually check through. So checking through this, I'll just scroll down. I don't know the pricing calculator, so let me say um, this. So I selected this, and then click Azure pricing. Then once I click Azure pricing, I'll scroll down to whatever service I want to try. So it's the Azure AI Services. I'll click on that. And then under the Azure AI Services family, there are different things. So you have the speech service, you have different things like I already mentioned. So let's click on the speech service, right? So now for the speech service, you can see there's a free category, and this free category for the standard, we're making use of the standard feature, which is you not using the pre-built models already, not training on your own voice or something like that. So that's what custom represents. So now with standard, you see you have access to transcribe. So you can see category as speech to text. You have access to transcribe 5 audio hours for free per month. So 5 hours of audio for free per month. So depending on the solution you want to build, if you know you're going to be having a lot of traffic, then you should consider all this while trying to build. So for speaker recognition, other things you can check. You can check through, but what we're focusing on for today is speech to text, and we can see that we have 5 audio hours free per month. And scrolling down to the pay as you go um, category or billing, you can see that for the standard, you have $1 per hour, right? So for every hour of audio that you're transcribing, you're going to pay $1. So, like I said again, we're focusing just on the speech to text. You can always go ahead to check the other pricing for whatever you want to do, whatever solution you're trying to build. So for the pay as you go, you know you're going to be getting a lot of traffic, and this is what you want to use. So this for real time and this for batch, you can see that. So batch is basically, you sending in the audio after. So it's not like triggering it. So basically real time is one audio, or let me say, you know, you're listening to someone and then it's transcribing it at the same time. That's how you can describe it. And batch is like sending maybe a stream of audio to the API, and then it calls it. So you have 0.36 per hour for that. So that's that about the pricing, right? And then, like I was saying, the next thing after pricing is the workflow. And why this is also important is for whatever solution you are trying to build now. For what we're trying to do is a translation solution, right, to Yoruba, English, Yoruba, Igbo, and Hausa. So checking this, right, the services that are available. If you check the language support, so what I'm going to do now is, okay, this for the, let me go to the speech service and check the language support. So I'll open that up now, and then I'll also check for the language support of the translation service, translator service. So now for this speech service, you see that for transcription, right, the only things you don't have, basically, because we're trying to do Igbo, Yoruba, and Hausa, we don't have Igbo here, and we don't have um, Hausa, we don't have Yoruba here. Scrolling down to the end, there's no Yoruba, but speech to text, right? So now, but what we will need is to transcribe to English. So that's where workflow comes in now. What I'm going to be doing is transcribe to English, and then the text that is generated, I'll use that to translate to either Yoruba, Igbo, or Hausa. So in that language supports for the translator service, you can see we have Hausa here, right? And then it's represented as HA. You can see we have Igbo also here, is represented as IG. And at the end, you can see we have Yoruba here represented as YO. So now this is where workflow comes in, like I was trying to say, from speech to text, and then from text to the destination language. So then finally, I made mention of deployment. So deployment depends on how you want to make use of it. You want to use it in a code session, you want to use it within your application or solution you're trying to build. However you want to deploy it is left to you, right? So, but what we'll be covering is how you can, structure your workflow to be able to interact between the the functions, or let me say this code basically, and then use it for whatever use case you want to use it, deploy it however you want to deploy it. So now we've finalized our method of use, pricing, we'll be using the free tier, and then the workflow. So let's go ahead and create our resource right now. So we can create a new resource. The resource group, let me create, let me name it as um, native translation. Right. So resource group basically houses everything. So by the time we're creating our translator service, we're going to put it also in the same resource group so that they can easily interact with each other for whatever thing that you might want to work with later on. So we can leave the region as East US. Let's name this speech to text. Let's see if that is available. Okay, that is available. Then okay, this is already in use. Speech transcribe. All right. So like we're using the free tier, and then next thing you need to do is just click review and create. And then once it's done validating all your configurations, then you can just click create and you're good to go. So now while this is going on, is doing the deployment. Okay, it's our Zoom is almost done. We will now go on to create our translator service. So you can go ahead to the resource now, right, to this speech service. And then what we'll be making use of, like I already explained, you are not building anything from scratch. All you need to do is go to your keys and endpoint, copy the keys, copy the endpoints, and that's all. You're good to go. So we'll move on now to the home and then create a translator service. So we'll click create resource. Let's search translator. So once you click translator create, and then once you're done with that, it takes you up to the same page again. But now we've already created a resource group which we named native translation. So we just select that, right? Select the same region as we chose before, East US, and let's name this native. Okay, now translate language. Let's see if that is available. Okay, that is available. Okay, it's not. All right, lang. Let me see if lang is available. All right. So so we can check pricing for the translator service, but you can always go through and check that, right? And then the lowest one here is this pay as you go, and then you can just work with that. So we check through till the end. Let me see if I have access to that straight up here. Coming. Let me see if I can get that. Okay. So for the translator pricing, okay, there's also a free tier. I think it's being shipped out or basically retired. So it's not coming up there. But basically for Azure, whatever you're doing, you're going to be charged based on what you're using it for. So if you're not using it, your your um your charges are not compiling basically. So you don't really need to bother so much about that, except you're using it for something like you're applying it directly to a business, right? If it's just for experimentation, then once you're done with your experimentation, you can always delete these resources. So now this is just 10 million million per million characters. So number of characters in your text, if it's up to a million, I mean, on average, I don't think for essays, when you say 500 words, max is about 2,000 characters or thereabout on average. So, if you are comparing that, that's like maybe almost a book, right? So, it's pretty cheap actually. So that's just $10 per million characters of transcription. So you can also see here for documents, sorry, translation. You can also see here for document translation. So we'll go ahead now to complete creating our translator resource and then validate that. Okay, so we click create. All right, so while this is setting up, we can now go ahead to start setting up maybe a GitHub repo and everything for the explanation on how you can actually relate this to contributing to open source. So I'll head over to my GitHub repo. And like I mentioned, everything I'm doing is, I'll say, completely or almost completely from scratch. So I would recommend that you follow, right? And then see my own procedure for setting up my work. So this is my profile. Um, I'll create a repository now. So for whatever deployment you're doing,
Sorry, I think we lost the audio. about now? Fair enough. Sorry, can you hear me? All right. So I'll be going on now. Um, what I was saying before is I don't know if you heard me at the point when I was referring to talking about setting up my GitHub repo and I wanted to show how you can set set that up. So this is also my procedure for setting up my virtual environment. I have some notes here that I always refer to. So have I mean I would appreciate if you could please follow me along. And this session is also recorded by the way. So I always share it after. So I said I'll create a wiki. I selected that and also an MIT license. I'm going to make my Apple public. So I'm going to head over to another repo that is reference. Also, I documented how you set up your environment. I've worked for me. So I don't follow any procedures here actually. Click on the repo. I'm going to head over to my Visual Studio Code, and then I'm going to into document. If at any point you can't hear me again, please let me know. So I'm going to open this up and then open this. So right now I have this, and then guidelines here. Next thing I'm going to create a better machine. That same name. Right, so I'm going to type in then type in by house here. So that virtual environment. Next thing I want to go in that folder. Working from there, I'm going to activate. Um, it actually doesn't take too much latency. So I actually even entered already, but it's still okay. So I don't need to type in thing activating. I'm already in the web directly inside that folder. So I'll open up I can still best best thing for the new. But you can do this actually. So that you need to set up activate the virtual environment. First thing, I hope my hearing not let me. So yeah, now we have all that. So the first thing now we want to do for our installation. So I set up this um, so I have this here. So the first thing you need to just run this. Probably okay. Since I won't be working with I don't actually need to install digital channel for that. So I'll be once this is I'll be going on to setting up all the libraries that we need for work. So then I actually want to do is that I want to set up everything locally here, then move on to do all my work on GitHub code cases. So in case you have a large repository that you're working with, you don't necessarily have to clone everything to your machine because of data reasons and also because of storage getting. So I would set up completely now and head over subgroup specific. So this is what I'm going to do now. Since I've installed and upgraded it, next thing is for me to start installing dependencies. So now we'll head over to this task that we have from um, Azure AI Service, right? So I've included the link to this in the slides. I will share the slides with us um, just after this session. Let me actually yeah, I will get it after this session. So let's just follow through together now. So you can see the priority slides that you have here. This is actually the transcription service. Let me go to the set up environment with all these, and we will still come back to this, right? So now, next thing it tells us to install the Azure Cognitive Service here. And this edited. So I'll copy this, and I already copied it from that. So while we don't wait for that to get installed, so let's do it again for whatever dependency we also need. Let's check for the translation service. So we need to do for request and UI ID. So I'll run this. The last thing, because we will be working with environment variables, I will install the Python .png um, package with our environment variable. Have this now. Check for the response. Actually, that's Python slash English. I'm just doing that for Python. So you can interact with your environment. Now I have all this set up. I need to add also I'll do touch the right. I'm going to create that for me, and then I'm going to add file. I'm going to add this file. then I'm going to add this library file so that I do not put um, packages first, because that could be very large. The installations and everything that is going to be running into like 300, 400 of them. You don't actually necessarily need that the Python package. I also add this part as we talk about the configurations of the Python virtual machine. Anything that has to do with Python or the virtual environment. So now, next thing I want to do is set my git status, right? So I can see that the only thing that is new there is the git. It cannot see theme, it cannot see, it can also not see library. So I'll keep that to add all things, then I'll give this name. I think just is very simple for them with this stuff all. Then let me also add down the file which file setting. Okay. Um so we have put the file. That's the command that runs through everything that we need. Next thing we want to do now is add add the changes to the CSV file. Then put it in. So and that's all we'll be doing for I can place my visual studio that one. Can we hear me? Are we following? Do you have any questions so far? You can kindly just drop a message in the chat if you are still following. Okay, no questions so far. Yeah. So moving on now, as I mentioned, we'll be working with deep code script. So you don't know how to set up so much stuff or load up your memory. You can actually go ahead, like I mentioned, set everything. So you can go ahead and set up your hardware and you have 60 hours for free. So what we need to now is test this for all the changes we added here. So next up, I'm moving to the house direct with um, that code. Which is I need to take a few seconds to load up, and you get an interface that looks almost exactly like Visual Studio. Then you can working up there. Beautiful thing about Azure is that it provides you with data samples that you can work with, right? So like if you head over here, you can data stream whatever you want to. First, that is set up, um, then you get file that we had our first follow the exact. So you can see here that it's pretty forward already like environment like Visual Studio. Very close there. That can be done with that. First thing now I want to add my key. So
Am I audible now? Hello?
Yes, you are. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Um, oh, this is much better. All right. Apologies for that. Yes, this session is being recorded, so you get it after. Okay, so like I was saying, yeah, like I was saying, I'll just create this translation file, then copy the exact code that Microsoft is giving me here. I've attached the links for all these in the slide, so you can actually just go through it and copy. So we don't actually have to do anything serious. I'm just going to copy this thing that is here and paste. Straightforward, no stress. Paste here, and that's all. I'll save it. And if you like to, add commits in bits, you can do this. Git status to check. Okay, you've added a new file, git add, git commit. Basically recommend you working in bits, right? Added transcription script. And then you can git push. And if you check, this is done basically. It's just like as if you're working in Visual Studio Code. That's all. If you come here and refresh, you see that the transcription script has been added with the commit message. You can see here the commit message will show up now. Added transcriptions script. Basically working on my browser. It's as simple as that. Code Spaces is amazing and beautiful, right? So now we have this endpoint from the translation. We have this endpoint from the translation service, right? And then all we need to do is we can check back to confirm we've created our resource. So let's that has been created, right? Let's go to the transcription resource and copy our endpoints and everything. Go to resource group. Okay. So translator. So for the translations, all right. So for the translation service, what we'll be doing is, like it's already told us, we are not really setting up everything, just the uh, location and the API key. So we will use environment variables to interact with the API key. So if you check through here for, let me just quickly refresh this. If you check through here, once you get to the translator resource, and you click this, and you head over to your keys and endpoints, right? Keys and endpoints, you'd see the endpoints here, basically, which is the same thing that you have in the sample here. So you don't actually need to change that. So what we just need to do is copy this key. And like I mentioned, we'll be creating an environment file. So we can just do touch.env, create that for you, and you go in and let's say you paste it. We just want to paste it down like this, and let's see the exact format that okay, they didn't actually represent it in any way, but the important thing you need to know is that you shouldn't leave your environment variables lying around like this, so you should reference them. So I can just name this as translator key, and then I'll just save it up. And then when I'm loading it up here, I need to import um, let me say from dot env import load env. So if I say load env, right, and then I say os.get environ is a translation key. I think this should be the right command. Let me just quickly, yeah, we can actually test it out and see. So the location is East US. You can leave that. It's not necessary for you to write that. So location is East US. So let's just try and see if everything works fine, and then we'll run it. So what we can do is to run the command, just quickly type your terminal here, Python translation.py. That's all we actually need. Cannot import name this guy from, maybe I'm importing it wrongly. Let me actually confirm that. Okay, yeah. From .env load underscore .env, and then this. So I save that, and then okay, os.get env. Yeah, so that's it. So import os. Let me import os. Okay, so now that works. So you can see we're translating this text that they gave us here. I would really like to drive your car around the block a few times. And we're translating it to French. And I think this is Zulu. So now we can just edit this and change it to what we want to transcribe. So let me change this to Yoruba. Like you can see from the language support, Yoruba is YO, Igbo is IG, and Hausa is what? Hausa is HA. So IG and then HA. So, I mean, what do you think? I would really like to drive your car around the block a few times would be in Yoruba or whatever language if you understand. So now we run that, you can see for Yoruba, I say, Màá fẹ́ láti wa ọkọ̀ ayọ́kẹ́lẹ́ rẹ káàkiri ilé náà ní ìgbà díẹ̀. So I'm Yoruba, whatever language is next, you can pronounce it on your end. I cannot pronounce the other languages. So you can see how amazing the speech service, I mean, the translator service works. It's amazing. It's beautiful. It's quick, fast. It even adds the accent for you. So this is one thing I really love every one of us to try out, right? It's as simple as this, to be honest. So let's head over to the speech service now, right? Let's create our speech script. So let me say touch speech.py. Have this now. We head over again here and copy exactly what we're given. No stress, to be honest. No stress. Don't bother yourself with what do I need to type next, right? So now this was speech to text, and then the default language is usually English US, so you don't necessarily have to specify that, right? So we can just copy this in here, and then you can actually comment this out actually, because you don't need it. So remember, we need to, okay, we've now added our speech key, and then we've now added our speech region, right? So in our environment script now, we add speech key. So let's speech key, we'll go back here, go back to the resource group. Speech. Once you go to speech, the next thing you want to do is go to keys and endpoints. And once you head over to keys and endpoints, you want to copy the keys there. So this, you have this now, keys, speech key. Where are we? Speech key. I'm going to delete this after so you don't have access to my keys by the way. So it's very important that you are careful with how you leave your keys around. So no one piles up cost on your subscription and you see $100 bill from nowhere and you don't know who used it or what you used it for. So I have this speech key now, and then next thing I want to do is, like it says here, right? So like it says here, um, surprise, it isn't asking me for end points. So maybe that isn't necessary. Let me refresh window. I think I lost connection. Oh, it's as simple as that actually. No need to um um, so I'll just wait like some seconds for this to properly come up and then we're back. All right. So speech region, that is what do we have here? East US two. Okay. No, East US actually, that East US two. Yeah, that's East US. So I'll save that and then I'll come over to pitch the pie and run a sample and see if it works because that was asking for. So the speech configuration. Now it's actually using my microphone to listen for my speech. So let's see if it can hear me clearly. I cannot construct speech with the following. Oh, I've actually not loaded the let me copy this. What I had here, environment variables in this, and then load. All right, so this should do it. There's an error coming. What could be causing that? It says speech. This this audio configuration and all. Let's pull up. Let me see. So it says as you create a speech resource, the speech resource after I go to resource, we are manage keys and all that. I actually feel that it should ask me for my endpoint to get me. So let me actually set up back the language. Maybe that could be it. Let's see. But generally, I don't need to work with that. Okay. So now, since this is coming up, what I've been working with previously is just create a generic AI service, right? So what we can do, since this error is coming up, what I recommend you to do is just create this Azure AI service, right? So we're basically actually following this, but it seems like something is messed up there. So what I'm really going to do is create Azure Services resource. I'll create it in the same resource group as what we have here, East US. Let me say translate. Is that available? Okay, it's not. Translate lang. All right, so standard checkbox, review and create, and then we're good to go. So I'll use procedure I've actually been working with, right? And then let's create this now. So let me open this up in my text editor. That's text so I can code directly. So I'll copy all this. Yep. I'll copy all this, and that's what I'm going to use in my speech service, right? So all I need is the cognitive service key. So I'll change this cognitive service key and then cognitive service region. Right. So I'll wait for this to successfully deploy, and then go and copy my keys and everything. So cognitive service key, I copy this and come here and change this. Then the region I believe is also East US. Also East US. So I'll save that and then would run this. This will also use my microphone. So let me just comment this out. So it uses my microphone. Let's run this transcribe in the main. All right, let's try this out. Probably has to do with my microphone. Um, Give me a second. Let me try out something. If it works or not. So, basically, people are going to be making use of.
Maybe because your mic is in use.
Not having. All right. So, we can leave this out since this is giving me some errors. But usually, it shouldn't give you an error, right? So, what we can do is let's try with some sample audio files. So, I think I have some audio here. I can actually try. Okay, let me search. Audio here. Okay, so let me pull this. Station, station, issue. So it says where the train station. So you can see the text there basically. Where is the train station? So basically that's how it works. I don't know if you can still hear me. Do we have any questions so far? If you have any questions, you can kindly drop them in the chats. Can I get a reaction or something? So I know that we're still here. All right. Yeah. Let's move on. Thank you. So like I was saying we have this now, right? So we're probably working with this file. So now I want to restructure this in a way that it can interact with this translation script, right? So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to restructure this transcribe function to return this command actually. So instead of printing it out, it's going to return command. Wait, let me try out something now. I was actually unmuted. I was actually um on my laptop, so it wasn't working. Probably why, but let me see. If it doesn't, we'll just move on. I just wanted to show you how good the speech sounds with the normal language. Okay. Yeah. So now we have this, and then I'm going to change this to return. I'm going to change it to return the command, right? The output, and then whatever error this comes, I only need the command. Okay, I've already even added this here, so but it doesn't necessarily have to print it for me. So we can just let it terminate there. But let us leave it as that. Okay, let me actually let it be print command since it's generally going to return it here. And now I don't need to run this anymore. You get me? So now the next thing I want to do is in my translations script, right? What I want is for it to call that speech service. So now I'm going to do here that from speech, right? Import transcribe. So now transcribe is going to basically give us the command, which is where is the station. So now what we're not going the text we're not going to be transcribing is this. So we're going to map it to instead of I would like to drive your car around the block a few times, we're going to change it to transcribe and just so basically call the function. So let's run this command and see what we get. So you see, Iboni Ibodo Kowa. Sorry, I kind of murdered that Yoruba. I can see the other things there. So it's as simple as this, basically. As simple as this, right? So what you now want, you probably might want to do is let's say somebody imputes Yoruba or Igbo. In fact, let me actually push this to the repo first. So let me say git status. Um, okay, let me add this to the git ignore. It's very important for me to add this. So I add the file to the git ignore, the environment file to the git ignore. So then I update this. I don't even want to put this audio too. So let me just add it also to the git ignore file. I don't want it to move to GitHub. Also, you can see that whatever is in git ignore is kind of shaded out. So git add contract file. So okay, this is also just added. Let me put that in. On translation workflow. So now the next thing we want to do is refactor this into function. So now we've done that for the speech service, right? So it basically returns us the command. So now what we want to now do is change this now. You can see everything I'm doing is basically on code spaces, right? So you can now change this to change this to function basically. So we have this now. Let's just basically put everything into a function, honestly. But it will now take an output. So this is what we're going to do. What do we have here? What does it actually return for us? Let me run that again. Give Python translation. The translation is returns the text. So we basically know that Yoruba is the first, Igbo is the second, and Hausa is the third, just like we outputted it, right? So let me check the type. We're basically going to either give me JSON or dictionary. So I think the type we should give me is a string. Okay. Um, for response, I want to see how I can change this into dictionary so that I can just get the actual value I need. Response. Let me so run this again. So we have a list of three things. Three, okay, just one thing actually. Right. So it has a list of all the transcriptions. So basically, what we want to get now, let's say someone inputs Yoruba. Let me put all this into a function, right? All this into a function. So I'll say def trans, and the only output that I'll be having is let's say language. I mean input language, right? And then I'll put all this within the function. And then what I will now do is I want to check first. Let me run this admin. See what we have here, like the print response. So since it's a dictionary, I'll reference these translations, right, to get the list. And then I want to see what I'll get in the first list, the second, and the third. Run this now. Have translation here. Oh, okay, so I actually have to reference the first. Um, this is a list of lists, like a list of edition and a list of lists. So save this. So this is basically how you work with whatever you want to do. It's basically experimentation. So now this is perfect. You can see the first language is Igbo. We can see the second is Yoruba. We can see the second is first is Yoruba. Second is Igbo. Second and third is Hausa. Right. So what I want to do is if the lang is equal to Yoruba, what I want it to return for me. Well, let me just make it print first, right? So we can see our work. Print text that we need. Then else if the language is Igbo, right? IG. Print second one for me. Then the third, let me just make it this in case someone tries to be funny and inputs language. Then else print language. Right. So let's run this and see what we get. Okay, fine. He wants me to do this. All right, you can see that it basically gives me the Yoruba text. So let me comment this out. And also this. To run this person input Yoruba, he gives me, okay, where's the transcription, where's the station, and this is coming from here, this print command. You can actually take it off, you get, and then it gives me the output. Ibo ni Ibodo Okowa, basically, right? So where's the train station or where's the station, bus station, whatever it is. So Ibodo is like, I mean, basically it's a translation. So we already know what station is. I don't need to do any interpretation. So this is a seamless workflow that you'd love to create using the Azure AI speech service, right? You have the audio somewhere, you're working with the translation scripts, and then it does the translation for you. So let's now actually like kind of make it in a workflow, for example. So I'm going to change this to actually return whatever is meant to return. So let me just say um, um, all I call it now translation. Translation will be equal to this. Let's put that this translation also wrong language. I mean, in wrong language. So that's the translation. Um, why do I even need to even do this translation? Just basically do return directly from here. You have this and you have this. So just return it directly, right? So by the time you're calling this translate language, is going to reference the speech service first. So now let's imagine we want to create a Streamlit application. I'm just going to do a very quick demonstration, right? So let me say touch dot web dot spy, for example, and then I don't have Streamlit installed. I think I can just do pip install. Those all for me. And that's fast, right? I'm not using anything. This has nothing to do with my internet. Let you know that. So this 19.1 MB per second I've seen has nothing to do with the service provider I'm doing. It's just running on the cloud for me, right? So I have this now. Let me quickly head over to the Streamlit documentation and see what I can do. We can see that this is actually very simple, very, very simple, honestly. This now, load up a bit. The first thing I need to do is import Streamlit. First, I need to, configure the web page. That's me make it like a text input. So let's work with it translate. What we can actually do now is that since you can interact with the translator service directly, what you can do is instead of it calling this, so you have a default. What I want to do for default is um, text to be default. If you have language and MC text will be default this, right? Then just translate from it. You need to pass in either the language and the text or just the language. But language is very, very important, right? So now what I want to do is how I'll see how I can this is text. All I'm going to do is call. So we're going to do from translation, right? What the thing translate. Okay, important. So what actually call this at the top, right? And then what we want to do is, I mean, as you can see, ST right here. What you want to do is copy inside. Then you want to make it more elaborate, you can. So ST right, your translated. How many people actually do something? Okay, we have this. Your let me make it simple. Translation, you call translate, then what are we passing in the language and the text, right? So I'm going to quickly create a drop down that person can also select after typing the same. So you type in whatever you want to type in. There'll be a drop down to select to type in the text I want that I want to enter. So this text is basically this. The translation is going to be this. The translated, let me just change. The translated language the translation into English to what we are what the that is that quickly here now. We'll run down. So let me see. Select this select button, multi-select now. Select box down. What is drop down button? I think it's going to give a drop down. Would you what language do you want to translate to over here? Hausa here. Then just before I pass it on, so what I'll have is language because since it's going to give me, I'm going to create a dictionary, right? To create a dictionary. So I create a dictionary, Yoruba, Yoruba will map to O, which we're going to use. Igbo will map to, I think it's IG. Yeah. Yeah. Right. So whatever is going to be the language here will now be each language Adding whatever it enters here, and then using a string to the language. Your translation from English to is this translation here. So yeah, that should do it. So we can save all this now. Basically, what we're doing is just using the translation service, and then the string list run run web.py. So we can use this now. Let me copy this here and put it up here. We can test it out what we have. That's select device here. Save this. Yes, so I had to, since I'm not working completely locally, I had to use this up now, and then you should see the drop down and everything that we need. Okay, so do we have any questions so far by the way? Any questions? Please let me know if you have any questions. You can, okay, no questions, Charles. Thank you. So let's test this out now. This is Yoruba, right? So you can see it gives us enter your English text here. Te oro gesi reni b. Like it basically gives us this. So let me just say something like my name is Samuel and I would like to be shown around. Presenter. So orúkọ mi ni Samuel, mo sì fẹ́ kí wọ́n fi hàn mí káàkiri. So that's Yoruba, right? So let's try it. I will say I wrote. Wait, did I spell? I didn't spell this stuff well. Permit me. Let me quickly change this. Igbo and Hausa. I think if I save this right, it should automatically reflect the run. Yeah. Okay, so let me change this to Hausa, and it says me Susanna Samuel. I don't know if there's anyone that speaks Hausa on the call. You can help us read this, or an able person to help us read this. So basically, this is how you want to create your workflow in summary, right? You can see that we've restructured everything into functions that are interacting between scripts, and we can end this here. You know, definitely we don't need all this to be printing for us, so you can comment this out. Print command is an error, maybe because you want to like track it as an error, you can leave this out, and then this ready to use, comment it out also, whatever is giving you also under translation, which is what's the print, okay, we ran that twice actually. So if we run this again, I don't think it should. Let me change this to I am new here. All right, if I come here, I don't think it should show me anything. Okay. Oh, okay. Basically, what is running is the default, this guy, right? This transcription stuff. So, you know, by the time you are working with this now, you don't necessarily need to accept a default file. You are going to, you know, accept audios from using the file uploader to accept an audio file and do whatever you want to work with. So there's something I also want to point you at or point you to is that let me just quickly open this repo, right? GitHub, Microsoft Azure AI Service or speech service for speech basically recognizes a specific format, which is .wave format, and these are the settings, right? FPS, I think that should represent frame per second, and then end channels, bit rate. So actually, I'm going to write an article on this soon and publish, but you can check out this library, which is MoviePy, right? So MoviePy helps you to do convert your audio files or whatever file. You can also extract audios from a video using MoviePy library. So you can use that the audio change it to the actual format you want. You can actually test it out with Streamlit first, right? Maybe you want to make sure that accept only .wave files, or if you can change it to whatever you want to change it. But you can use MoviePy, change it to the exact thing you want to change it to, and then pass it on to Azure AI Service. So probably might have seen this project is on the bot I created on Telegram. I think probably most of us might have seen it on Twitter or LinkedIn where I shared it. So it's using a similar, basically uses Azure AI Service, speech service for the transcription workflow. So you can, reference it for whatever guide you need, right? And then there's also another thing I would like you to take note of is that using Azure AI services, like if you use an audio directly like this and you're stopping in between the audio, let's say you're pausing, you're talking for a long while and then you pause, it will automatically cut it off at that point where you pause, where there's a long pause, kind of, right? It kind of means that you've ended your conversation. Not necessarily a full stop. You could have multiple sentences, but then if the pause is longer than normal, then it basically just truncates it at that point. So you want to make sure that you check through the entire length. There's some documentation of it which I've refined in my own way. You can also make reference to the repo to check out whatever you want to work with. So in summary, this is basically how you can leverage Azure AI Service for whatever you want to do. It's as simple as ABC basically. Let me push these changes to GitHub. I'll end this right now. Git status, git add, git commit, added Streamlit web app, added Streamlit web app, and then I'll say git push. Though there's some other things that we do, but that's fine. So I can close this up now. It's already disconnected. If you refresh, you see all the new changes that have come up, right? So it's as simple as that. As simple as that. You can see how I set up my virtual environment and everything. So basically, if you're actually familiar with the project that's actually going on, we have a similar project organized by the MLSA Nigeria. So if you check it out, right, let's say you want to make your contribution using code spaces. It's as simple as just clicking this, forking your repo, right? You don't need to do anything on your laptop at all because everything has been set up. Create your fork, and once you create your fork, I have everything here. And once this loads up a bit, I'm going to create code spaces on it. Create code spaces on it, and whatever I want to do, I do on it, push changes, and once I've done, I make my pull request, having nothing to do with my laptop. So that's how simple and efficient using code spaces is for. So, but remember, once you're done working, you should always quit, end the code space basically, so that you don't, let your free tier or whatever you're using expire. So I'm done now. There's no changes I want to make again. So I can close this up. And once I close this, I'll come here, code spaces, and I'll put, you can delete it if you are all the change. If you think you're not going to use that code space, you probably have added your environment variables and all those things there. So if you delete it, if you create a new code space, it will not come up. You have to add all those things from scratch again. So what you can just use is stop code spaces. And if you feel that you are done with making changes with that code space, right, you can then delete. So this has been stopped. It's not running any longer. If I want to spin it up, I'll just click open again in browser, and I'm back to making changes to my code. So It's as simple as that, and that's all actually. That's how you can leverage Azure AI service, speech service, and the translation service. What we majorly demoed with Streamlit was this translation service or translator service. So, but you can incorporate, like I already explained, you can incorporate that with the speech service. You get audio using the file upload to Streamlit, and then pass it on to the speech service to transcribe, and then complete the workflow from there. So that will be it from me. I already explained this, how you can contribute to an open source AI project using just code spaces, along with the demo that we did. And then I have a list of resources that you could reference here, which I think would come in pretty much handy for you to do well. And yeah, that's it. I'll share the link. I mean, the slide. Let me see if I actually do that while on the call. So if you need to download it, you can easily download it. So where do I have it? Okay, this it. I'll drop it here. Okay, so it's sending. All right, so I just dropped the file, and then that's it. If you also don't mind, you can also just scan this QR code to get its soft copy. But if you prefer the hard copy straight up, I mean, it's not really like hard copy, to be honest. But if you want to download it, I mean, it's not even hard copy in any way. But if you want to download it straight up, you can download it from the chat. But otherwise, just scan this QR code here or copy the link. So that's it, guys. Thank you very much for staying up to this time. If you have any questions for me or remarks, please let me know. I'm happy to take your questions. Or if you have anything to maybe ask in any way, please kindly unmute and drop that. I'm waiting for your questions.
Okay, good evening. Thank you very much, Mr.
All right.
Sam. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, I can. I can.
Okay, thank you really very much. I actually joined the meeting late, but I really followed through, and seriously, I appreciate all you have done thus far in the training. Thank you very much. Kudos to you, sir. I just want to
Thank
ask
you
a
very much.
question. So can this be implemented in say product outside, like project outside just translation? Let's say, for example, so you're trying to build like a translation app, right? And you want to embed like voice recording on it, like VN voice on it, like trying to use
Okay.
speech recognition, right, on it. So
Yep.
can this be implemented in other app? And also, can this be built outside Microsoft AI, Azure AI speech recognition? Can it be used in other language, like let's say JavaScript, for example, and Node? I don't know. Just let me just
Okay.
ask.
Yes, actually,
Thank
let
you.
me quickly head over to that. So let me answer your last question first. Right. So if you see here in the quick starts here, like the demo, what we've actually selected is Python. So there are different languages you can access the Azure AI Services SDK. So they have also in JavaScript, there are starter code here for you in JavaScript, Node.js, in Java, Gradle, in Go, and in C Sharp, right? There are starter scripts for you here. So these are like the languages that you can, integrate the Azure AI speech service with. Or let me say the translation service as you can see here. And for the speech service, you can also check through here. So different languages, C Sharp, C++, a host of them. Right. And then for your first question, yes, you can actually. You can use it outside of streaming. This is just a demo, right? A simple demo that we can all relate to, maybe in one way as data scientists or machine learning engineers or AI enthusiasts, right? So that's why I just use Streamlit. can, like for the sample I showed, well, let me actually let me open up my Telegram. Well, I might not be able to reference for the speech transcription, right? That I did with the bot I created on Telegram, right? What it basically uses Azure AI Service, and that's integrated another into another application like you're asking. So if I run the transcribe command now on my bot, right? Just hold on a bit and then does it returns the transcribed text. So I just thought that it was important for you guys to listen to this quickly. So I hope you get me right. So this is integrated with, this is with Azure AI Service speech service, right? So you can integrate it to whatever application you want to integrate it with. You could integrate into a website or where people maybe, or an application where people have to record something, and then you don't want, like for ease, right? You don't want them to actually type in everything from scratch. You can just have this recording enabled, and then you pass that on in the back end, right, to Azure AI Service. You do the transcription and you just print it back out for the person, or whatever you want to do with the text, you do it and you return out the output for the person. So whatever you want to integrate it, it's fine. There are so many languages you can use for the Azure AI SDK. So that's it. I hope I answered the question correctly.
Exactly, sir. Exactly. Thank you very much. You did great. So I don't mind if you can actually share your LinkedIn account so we can just connect on LinkedIn as well, sir. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay. It's actually just my name, my phone name, Samuel Bangola,
Okay. Thank you very much.
on LinkedIn. So
Thank you.
let me see if I'm signed in here. I'll just quickly drop that in the chat. I don't think I am. I don't think, okay, I'm not signed in here. So, but I can also reach out to you also, but yes, thank you for that. Do we have any other questions? So, all right, Kunle, I can see you and you can go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about the pricing. I didn't really get that part. I saw something like $15 or $16 per 1 million characters or something. So is it that? Is it like? Is the pricing based on the number of translations you're doing, or maybe something dollars per month or something? I don't get.
Okay, no, yeah. So basically, it's pay as you go and whatever you query in. Thank you very much for that question, Kunle. So let me quickly go back to that point where I think I probably already cleared that, right? Let me see from my history. So basically, those characters represent, for like the translation service now, those characters represent the text, right? So for example, now in Python, when you do len, len, right, the command for checking the number or the length of something and the text, you'd want to basically count all the characters within that string. So that is what it represents for for the translator service. That's what it represents, right? So there's also a free tier, as you can see, right? 2 million characters of any combination of standard, whatever. So you have 2 million characters free per month, right? But once you're going over that, then it automatically falls into the pay as you go billing cycle, right? And then for every million characters that you do, is already beyond the 2 million in a month now. It gets charged on the $10 per the million characters. And million characters, let me actually even check how many words can those see. So just to give context to what this means, right? How many words is a million characters? Let's see what we get. So you can have full context into what this means and see how cheap it is actually. So to find out how many you can use a free. let me wait for Bing Chat to load something up. So okay, text contains so you can see approximately 181, let me say 182,000 words. That's a lot actually. I mean, that's like a book, to be honest. That's like a book, to be honest. So you can see that it's actually even pretty cheap than if you're training your own model from scratch and all that. So basically that's how the billing works. So the number of characters basically, translates to the number of words eventually, and then you can have a full scope of how you can, maximize and minimize cost. But for experimentation, you definitely won't be using, if a million characters is this and you have 2 million characters for free per month, that's like 400,000 words you have access to translate for free. I don't think you can exhaust that for whatever experimentation you might be doing. And even for a business solution, you probably might be having extremely huge traffic, I think, to even beat that. So, yeah, that's it actually. I don't know if this answers your question clearly.
Yes, thank you very much.
All right. So, I don't know if there are any other questions, and if there are none, we'll be ending right now. Thank you very much. Thank you everyone for staying up till this point. I hope you've learned a few things. Yeah, and enjoy the rest of your evening for those of us in Nigeria, and wherever you are, enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.